some of the baggage, if you will, that's going on? Has it been an issue?
Our fans have been great. I think they're excited about Coach Petrino. They're smart enough to realize everything that he's accomplished as a football coach, and for our program to have somebody like that in the prime of his career is pretty unique, and that excites them. And to his credit, he's been very visible in the community. He's gone to restaurants. He's been very approachable. He's gone to a number of our sporting events on campus. So he's really been anything but a recluse. He's actually been very open and very available to people, and I think as a result, our community's become very comfortable with him, and he's become very comfortable with them as well.
When you look back, you still, I'm talking about from the time that Coach Taggart left to when you were able to get him, and you still look back at this thing, and we got Bobby Petrino. A guy that's been to a couple of bowl games and everything, and now we have a chance to continue what Coach Taggart had established.
I do, and I think we're just very fortunate that it worked out the way that it did. When we ranked our list of candidates, and he was number one, without having talked to him, it seemed like a long shot, and I wasn't really sure how realistic of a chance we had to get him, but I thought, let's try. The worst that can happen is he wouldn't be interested, and as we began to talk, it was very apparent that, number one, he was interested, which was a good thing, and number two, that he had not become disengaged over the last year. He was very much in tune with the college football scene. He had a coaching plan in place. He had a staff plan in place, a recruiting plan in place. He was really ready to go, and that was very impressive. And I think for us to have somebody with his level of experience in the prime of his career puts us in a really good position.
Do you remember what your first question was to him during the interview?
It really wasn't a question. We had texted each other the night before, and we had agreed to talk at noon on Saturday, and I called him at noon on Saturday, and the first thing I said, after we exchanged pleasantries and said hellos, I said, Coach, I don't want to waste your time. I said, how about if we approach it like this? I'll be 100% honest with you, if you're 100% honest with me, and how about if I just take a couple minutes and just tell you about our program, where we were, where we are, where we hope to go. I'll tell you what we could pay you. I'll tell you what we could pay your assistant coaches. Tell you what our budget is. Just kind of lay it all out there, because what I didn't want to do is talk all day with him and get to a point where we wanted him to be our coach and he wanted to be our coach, and then we find out that we're millions of dollars apart on the salary, and then wonder, oh gosh, I wish we had known this from the beginning. So I thought, in this particular case, because of his resume, let's just do it the opposite. So my first question wasn't really a question. It was more of a 2 to 3 minute opening statement of just laying out all that information. And then when I finished, I said, what are your thoughts? And his initial reaction was, I can work with that, and I can definitely make that work. And I thought, well, that's good to hear, and maybe we can, maybe there is a chance to work out.
For a coach of his caliber to say that, how, impressing was that on you, that he can work with that?
Well, it made me happy, knowing that he can work within our budgetary framework. He very much wanted to be a head coach, and he had a number of opportunities to be an assistant coach on both the college level and the NFL, and it was also another head coaching opportunity that was out there for him. But I think what we offered was a program that was on the rise, and had very good facilities, and it was in the state of Kentucky that he was familiar with. Having been at Louisville for 4 years, he and his family had very good memories of the state. I think it was an opportunity for them to return to a state where they had a lot of friends. Their daughter's a sophomore at Louisville, so they're close to her. I think when you put all those ingredients together, then that was a big reason why we were able to get him.
When y'all hired him, were you worried about any backlash from the fan base or from anybody?
Well, I wasn't sure exactly what would be. What I hoped is that our people would look at his body of work and his resume and realize that for our program, that literally 6 years ago was playing in a one-sided stadium in the Gateway Conference in football, to now all of a sudden have Bobby Petrino as our head coach, that would excite them. And as it's turned out, it has. The feedback's been overwhelmingly positive. Certainly there's been a couple people that haven't been happy with it, but to be honest with you, most of the negative feedback that I've received has been in either Atlanta or in Arkansas. It's been very few people from Bowling Green that have voiced their disapproval.
In a state where you got Kentucky, Louisville having a BCS bowl, Kentucky hiring Stoops and kind of energizing that fan base, but then you make this hire. How do you kind of see the general landscape for Kentucky, the state of Kentucky football?
Well, I think it's set up really well moving forward. I think each of those three schools has an excited fan base and a lot of energy right now, which is a good thing. Ultimately, what I would like for our athletic department, where I think we can be unique, is Boise State. You hear a lot about their football, but you don't hear about their other programs, particularly their basketball. Xavier, Butler, VCU, Gonzaga, you hear a lot about their men's basketball, but you don't hear a lot about their football. And where I think there's an opening for us, an opportunity for us, is I think we can have it both ways. I think we can be the program that beginning in 2014, when the landscape changes relative to BCS bowls, we can be the program that can go to a BCS bowl, that can go to a Final Four. Wichita State just went to a Final Four. We can have it both ways. We can go back to a women's Final Four. We can go to a College World Series. Those are lofty goals. Obviously, those would be difficult goals, but I don't think any goal worth achieving is easy. And I do believe that we can have those things happen, and that really is the ultimate for us. That's what we're shooting for.
This program, like you said, has been on the rise for the last couple of years. Where do you hope Pacino takes the team in the next couple of years?
Well, I hope that he takes us to places we've never been before, and I hope that, like each year with all of our sports, that at the end of each season that he's here, we can say we're better off today than we were a year ago.
How do you feel about this past athletic year? Really, aside from the hiring of Coach Petrino, the basketball team goes back to the NCAAs. You feel like this has been kind of one of those progressive years moving forward?
I do. I feel good about it because we have a lot of winning momentum right now. And it started a year ago when we had a swimmer, Claire Donahue, win a gold medal, first gold medalist in the history of our university. And then you alluded to men's basketball making the NCAA tournament for the second straight year. Our football team made a bowl game. Women's basketball made the WNIT and actually went from 21 losses to 22 wins. So we've got a lot of momentum, and other sports broke barriers down too. Our softball and our volleyball programs both made the NCAA tournament and won games, and I think that's big for us. I think not only do we need to make postseason play, but we need to win. To me, that's how we would elevate our brand even more, because that's when you have the most eyeballs on you, is when you're in postseason play. So obviously it's great to make NCAA tournaments and bowl games, but if we can have success in those events, it helps us even more. And a rising tide lifts all boats. And I think when one or two of our sports has success, it really brings the bar up for everybody else. And our track program just had 3 All-Americans in outdoor track, and it was the first time since 1992 that we had an indoor, outdoor, and cross-country All-American in track. So there were a lot of things to hang the hat on this year.
5 years from now, where do you see WK Sports?
I hope that
envision that.
I hope that 5 years from now we've hit on those goals I mentioned before. I hope that in the next 5 years we go to a BCS bowl, that we go to a Final Four men and women's basketball, that we go to the College World Series. Those are the things those are the ultimates, but that's what we're shooting for.
Are they reachable, do you think?
I do. I think they're hard, but if you look around the country, you see examples of schools similar to us that have made it. Wichita State makes the Final Four in men's basketball. Southern Miss has made it in baseball. I think High Point made it in baseball recently. Northern Illinois went to the Orange Bowl last year. So it's not a pipe dream. It can happen. Like I said before, it's a difficult goal, but I think good goals are difficult.
What do you think is happening with quote-unquote mid-major schools? And with the exception maybe of Wichita State, but having that kind of success, getting that kind of recognition to go to a BCS bowl.
Well, it's a huge opportunity. I think when you're able to go to a BCS bowl like that, it just elevates your program's activity in front of so many millions of people that probably otherwise wouldn't pay attention to you. And I'm sure for Northern Illinois to have played in the Orange Bowl and actually played well. They were competitive against Florida State, and when that game went into the fourth quarter, they were right there. That helps obviously immediately in terms of the attention you get. It helps down the line with recruiting. High school kids pay attention to games like that, and they learn more about your program. It enables your coaches to go in the living rooms and talk about something. It's not just a vision in their case; it's already happened. And that kind of exposure, it's really almost impossible to measure the impact because it's so high.